Hello, everyone. Hello, come on in the room, get settled. We will start in just a moment. Hello. Hello, Nicole. Thank you for joining us tonight. Say hello as you come into the room. It helps me to know who I'm talking to. Come on in and get settled. We will be starting in just a moment. Hi, everybody. It's our first Astro Hour of 2026. So I'm excited about that in and of itself. This is the first Astro Hour. I'm so happy that y'all convinced me to make this a segment. I think we've had some really good conversations, really good opportunities for breakthrough in these gatherings. And I was afraid to do it at first, and it's become one of my favorite things to do. I look forward to it so much every other week when we come together to have these conversations. So yeah, we are going to talk about the new moon in Capricorn. We are also going to talk about Neptune entering Aries, which happens at the end of the month, and it lasts for 13 years. So if there is a transit you want to pay attention to, you want to pay attention to these longer ones. If you've gotten a forecast reading from me that's included a natal chart analysis, you guys have heard me talk about these generational planets, these peer group planets, and how we can often neglect them tremendously in our natal chart. But they're so important. They're really important, especially because their transits last so freaking long, right? So it's really important for us to get into that. Hello, La Balin. Hello, Chantel. Hello, Josette. As you come into the room, continue to say hi. Let me know that you're here with me. I know that this is not happy hour, it's Astro Hour, but if you are sipping on something delicious tonight, let me know. We are in dry January, so I have my Spindrift, my sparkling water, in blood orange tonight. No champagne right now, no Prosecco right now. But let's go ahead and jump straight into it. We're going to start with the new moon because you guys are more, I don't want to assume, but I know that a lot of times when people are new to astrology or novices of astrology, they're comfortable with the moon cycles if they're not comfortable with talking about other transits. So let's start with our conversation about a new moon. What does it mean when we have a new moon? A new moon is a lunar phase in which the sun and the moon's sign are aligned at the same time. Decaf coffee, that actually sounds delicious. I like the taste of coffee. I should start drinking more decaf at night. Yesterday I was drinking coffee at 6 and 7 o'clock at night. That was full calf and I slept terribly as a result. So, but yeah, that sun-moon alignment allows for an opportunity for a fresh start. So a new moon is exactly that. It's an opportunity for a fresh start. It helps us have an energetic realignment that allows us to shift in a new energy with the next month ahead of us, right? And the new moon in Capricorn is coming January 18th. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign that is deeply associated with discipline, structure, maturity, responsibility, long-term planning. It is the sign of steady achievement. Depending on how you were taught astrology, you may understand Capricorn as the father of the zodiac or the businessman of the zodiac. Think about what those two things represent, right? Fathers give structure and protection. Businessmen need order and structure in order to have a successful business, right? So with the new moon going into Capricorn, this is a time that really combines the maturity of discernment with a sense of culmination and a readiness to act on hard-earned wisdom, right? So we have opportunities to sharpen ourselves, to strengthen ourselves, to provide ourselves with the structure we need to put us towards success, okay? there are certain themes around this particular new moon in Capricorn that I want us to be aware of and think about, especially for those of us who are doing any kind of new moon manifestations or spiritual work, right? New moons are very much about realistic planning, right? If you guys have been struggling with your new moon manifestations, you may want to ask yourself if they're realistic, right? Using a new moon to like get lottery numbers is not the wisest thing to do. It has to be practical, realistic planning that has durable intentions, okay? You're not asking for quick fixes. You're not asking for wishful thinking. When you are using the energy of a new moon, especially a new moon in Capricorn, you want to be realistic. So the energy of this Capricorn new moon is really asking us, what am I willing to build that endures? Which goals that I have deserve my commitment in this moment, right? I was having this conversation with somebody earlier this week in one of the forecast readings I was doing. Just because we have to wait to start a particular goal doesn't mean that it's less important, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to execute it, right? So Capricorn, again, with that emphasis on structure and organization, what is the goal that it deserves your immediate attention right now? What's the thing you have to start with, right? You don't eat an elephant in one gulp. You have to bite it bit by bit. I don't know why we're eating elephants, but that was something I heard a lot in elementary school. But yeah, this is a time where we are being invited to set intentions around career, discipline and routine, our material stability, also boundaries and responsibilities, right? A card that's often associated with Capricorn is the Ten of Wands. And we know that the Ten of Wands is an invitation for us to look at the things we are overcommitted to, the responsibilities we take on that don't belong to us, figure out what we need to let go of and put down before we break ourselves, right? New moon in Capricorn is also asking us to do that. What are the responsibilities that we actually need to take on? How do we give back or delegate back to people what we are not responsible for? And how do we put boundaries in place so that we're not overcommitting or distracting ourselves by overcommitting from our own responsibilities? Those are all new moon in Capricorn reflections, right? This is, again, earth sign energy, and it's cardinal earth. So how are we setting foundations, right? It's not about flashy beginnings. What are we doing to be stable, right? Some of the richest people in the world are people whose appearances are not flashy. They don't have, Bentleys and expensive cars. They actually live modest lifestyles. And Capricorn is a modest energy, but it's also one of the wealthiest energies in the zodiac, right? My neighbors are like crumping or something right now. It's weird. There are several other planets that are involved in the impact of this new moon, right? Mercury, Venus, Mars, these are all energies that are deeply closely aligned with the sun. And with these influences, goals around clear communication, our values, again, that Venus influence, are our values aligned with our actions, right? If you value fitness, but you don't wake up until 10 a.m. every morning and you never go to the gym, do you really value fitness, right? So how are your values aligned with your actions due to that Mars influence? And then also, are we going about our ambition strategically? Are we? Are we in alignment with that, right? And so this makes this particular lunar phase not just it's not about just contemplation, right? I think we have this fantasy of doing new moon work and just sitting around and being lost in our thoughts, right? If this were a new moon in Pisces, all right, but this is Capricorn. This is about business and strategy and structure, right? So this is about the ability to plan with intention, not to just get lost in the daydream, okay? Some of the supportive aspects of this new moon, especially with it being opposite of Jupiter, it's in opposition to Jupiter, right? This allows us to have expansion of vision and to balance out our optimism with any constraints, right? Again, Jupiter is expansion, so making sure with that opposition that you're not overcommitting to things, especially overcommitting to things that don't help you, right? With your bigger plan, with setting up a structure for yourself. Those are all things to be really aware of. So what are some of the things we need to be focusing on energetically right now? And I see that Bratal wrote plant seeds for work. Honestly, I don't know what that was in response to, so I apologize, but it also is a good segue into one of the first things we need to be thinking about. Are we planting or are we procrastinating? Right? These are things or reflections that a new moon in Capricorn are going to bring up for us, right? This is a really beautiful and amazing time to start something real, right? Capricorn, earth energy, structure, the tangibles, okay? And whether that's a habit, whether that's you actually making progress on a project, whether that's you concretely writing out a plan, right? On paper with your hand, not in your phone, in your notes that you'll forget about and then be confused about when you get the reminder 3 years later, but an actual tangible plan that is either on your laptop that you can print out on paper or that you write by hand, right? It can also be the boundary, but what are the things that you are putting into action? Is it an actual plan? Is it helping you cultivate gradually? Okay. Another thing, if you are a person that struggles with discipline, that has been running from discipline, use this Capricorn new moon to call in the discipline and discernment you need. Okay. Instead of having lofty aspirations, this is a really important time to get organized in your intentions. So writing your goals down, writing them down with timelines, right? My students hate this. They'll ask me over and over again about an area of their life, and I'm like, okay, well, let's put some dates to it. Dates will put a fire under your butt, and when we have a fire under our butt, we make things happen, right? So don't just write down the goals. Write down some timelines. Let it be real timelines. Let it be something that puts a little stake or a little fire under you. Makes you have some stakes behind it, okay? Another thing you want to do as you draft or as you write down these goals, draft action steps, right? It's one thing to say, I want to go on vacation in Bali. It's another thing to sit there and be like, I ain't got my fucking passport. Action step number 1, get your passport. Action step number 2, research flights. Set up a saving account for those flights. Action step 3, research vaccinations, right? But it's not enough to write down a plan. Actually help yourself by writing down and drafting out the action steps, okay? And then also map your resources, because that's another thing that makes us stagnant. We worry about where the help, where the funding, where the money's going to come from. A lot of time there's money out there. Sit down and map that out. Resources are out there. Organizations to help are out there. Write that down. But these are all things we should be prioritizing in order to make sure that discipline is providing us clarity. Okay? So that instead of running from discipline and seeing it as a form of punishment, we're actually seeing the progress that comes with it, and we get excited about sharpening our relationship with discipline. But one of the other things we need to be thinking about is what will allow us to have sustainable growth over quick results, right? Everybody wants the get rich scheme. Everybody wants to do it fast. Anything worth having doesn't come quickly. It just doesn't, right? So the energy during this new moon encourages us to slow down, to be purposeful, to think in terms of the months and the years, not just the days, right? I come across this all the time where people have money struggles. I need $500 by, Saturday. Okay? Even if you do the thing to call in that money in those couple of days, how are you going to think about the way you want to feel in the months and years so that you're not constantly in this cycle of being up against the wall where you need in a couple of days or by the end of the week, right? These are things that this new moon in Capricorn are really going to help you have breakthrough around longevity, not just stability, but longevity. Okay? Sorry, I got lost in my notes. So, as we wrap up, I just want to talk a little bit more about what this moon is inviting you to do, how you should use it. Really avoid forcing yourself to move quickly. And I know we live in a popcorn microwave culture, but a lot of times you skip steps. A lot of times you miss detail when you are so focused on quickness and you're not focused on quality. Okay? Reflect on what you're ready to take seriously this year. Like I said, you may have many goals, but there may be just 2 or 3 that launch this year. 2 or 3 goals in a year is a lot of progress. But if you are so wrapped up in all 10 that you can't be grateful for what you get done, so be careful. Think about what you can logically and realistically do within a year, right? A lot of times why people get burnt out on New Year's resolutions is they're trying to do 12 different things, and trying to develop 12 different habits at the same time will burn you out. You will lose motivation. You will get confused. Think about scale and what you can realistically, seriously dedicate yourself to this year, okay? Remember that your inner stability precedes external success. I know a lot of people who are really good at making money real quick. I know a lot of people that are good at being charming and making new relationships and associations. I know a lot of people that have a lot of really nice things and they feel very insecure and not good. They are some of the most difficult people to be around because they don't feel good inside. Their external success does not align with their inner feelings. So, do you feel emotionally stable? Do you feel emotionally safe? Reflect on your Queen of Swords energy. Ask your King of Cups what you need to do. Where are you not being compassionate with yourself? Those are all things to focus on right now, okay? But yeah, to wrap it up, this new moon is really encouraging us to think about how we establish structure with intention, how we're going to commit to goals that last, not just happen quickly, not just, are, impressive and in the moment. How do we build discipline and not impulsivity? So what feeds our strength and not our impulsivity? And then also, how can we align with practical action? How can we align practical action with our inner purpose, right? Those are all things that the Capricorn new moon are here to gift us with. Hello, Renee. It's good to see you. I love that you call me Miss Ma'am. I giggle every time I see that. I still feel like a 12-year-old inside, and I've never had people call me ma'am so much until I moved to the South. And I still chuckle like a little kid whenever people call me ma'am. So it always makes me giggle when you call me Miss Ma'am. Let's talk about Neptune. Let's talk about Neptune in Aries, okay? Because the new moon, we know the moon cycles are, it's a 30-day cycle. So the moons change very frequently, okay? That is not the case with Neptune. Neptune takes its time. Neptune is a very long transit, and we are going to be dealing with Neptune in Aries for 13 whole years, okay? For 13 years. Did I not write down the date? Hold on one second. I gotta go. Let me go back to astro.com, child, and see what I missed. Because I sure did not put down the dates. I'm here trying to give you guys an Astro hour, and I got all these detailed notes, but then I messed around and forgot to write down the date of when Neptune actually enters Aries. January 26th. Okay. Let me put that in my notes now so I don't confuse myself again. January. Okay. So yeah, on January 26th, Neptune enters Aries. We know that Neptune, or at least you guys should know by now if you've been watching Astro Hour, if you've gotten any astrological natal chart, any kind of synastry work done for me, you should know about Neptune. Neptune, it is the spirit world. Neptune is the planet of mystery and illusion. When we deal with Neptune in our chart or in Neptune transit, we're dealing with our relationship to faith, our dreams. There's also escapism, addiction, mysticism. Everything that has to do with mystery and illusion is connected to Neptune, right? It's also an energy of the collective unconscious, right? So a lot of times when we look at it as a generational placement in our chart, it teaches us about how our generation or the cultural zeitgeist in the time that we were born, what its relationship to spirituality and religiosity is, right? All of that is Neptune. Aries is a very different energy, very, very different, right? Whereas Neptune is the collective unconscious, Aries is us. It's the individual. It's us. It's me. It's I am. It's my identity, right? Aries is the self, selfhood, initiation. Mars, that god of war energy. Our Aries gives us courage. Our first house gives us courage, right? It's also an energy of impulsivity. Aries is about survival. It's that I am energy. So when Neptune leaves Pisces, being its home sign, remembering that Neptune is about to leave home and go into a placement that it does not feel comfortable in, right? That's something you always want to think about. Okay, yes, we have this planet in this zodiac sign. Does it even fuck with the energy of that zodiac sign? If not, what does that mean, right? That's something you want to think about. Neptune is leaving its home of Pisces and it's entering Aries. So we are leaving an energy of we are all one, we are all connected. Oh my God, love and connection and martyrdom and all that shit. We're leaving that to an energy of who am I and who am I willing to become? What is my identity? How do I fight for my identity? How do I fight for my ambitions? How do I stand up in myself and my personhood? So there's a shift taking place that's very, very palpable right now. Okay? It's a shift from passive spirituality to activated spirituality. All this shit that a lot of people have been talking about and daydreaming about and low-key gaslighting about for the last 7 to 13 years, it's going to be a lot of action. Spirituality is not escapism or for play anymore. Aries is about that action. Okay? What does that mean for us? Spiritual identity becomes deeply personal and political when Neptune is in Aries. It becomes personal and political. If you don't understand what the phrase the personal is political, Neptune in Aries is about to teach you. Okay? What does it mean? People stop inheriting beliefs and start forging spiritual identities for themselves. There's about to be a rise in DIY spirituality. We're about to see an even bigger increase in ancestral reclamation, right? We're also about to see a lot of warrior mystics. So there's about to be a shift from the love and light bullshit, the cute belly chains and sparkly shit, to people really literally teaching you what does it mean to use your spirituality, your religiosity, your connection to God, to be about that action, to be about war, to be about progress, to be about revolution, right? Christ consciousness is a concept that was born under a Neptune in Aries transit, okay? That's something to consider. Revolutionary faith movements are something that are really going to be strong during this time. But there's also going to be a lot of conflict over whose vision and whose God is true. So even though there's going to be a lot of breakthrough for people in terms of using religion to be about that action, there's about to be a lot of religious cultural war. We've been feeling the dog whistles of that coming for a while, right? We're seeing that with this pseudo Christian nationalism that's really building right now in the United States. This shit is about to get real. How are you willing to fight for your spirituality? That's no joke. That's something that's really about to get fucking real with Neptune in Aries, okay? Holy wars, spiritual warfares, and ideological battles are going to really be at the forefront under this transit, okay? Historically, when Neptune is in Aries, it coincides with conflicts driven by belief, not just resources, not just history, right? We're going to see a rise in a lot of martyr narratives, right? Whether it's people committing acts of suicide, I forget about YouTube stuff, or harm in the name of their spirituality. We're going to see a rise in that. Okay. There's also, and this is a huge, so you guys may, if you've been watching like my charm school lectures, if you are part of my Patreon, if you've been paying attention to the nature of the classes I've taught over the last year, and you are actually here for the wisdom and information, not just for shade and trying to figure out if I'm beefing with people, you will see that there are themes I've been talking about for a while, right? A rise in spiritual psychosis, people being able to navigate jealousies and identify jealousies. Why was I talking about these things? Well, Neptune is about to be in Aries, and the rise of people with chosen one mentalities is about to really, really take off. And if you cannot identify spiritual psychosis, if you cannot identify when somebody is trying to kill a light in you so that they can literally energy harvest you or destiny swap with you. I actually don't believe destiny swapping is real. Podcast coming about that soon. But whatever it is, if you can't identify these things, you are going to get fucked over while Neptune is in Aries. 13 years is a long time to get fucked over by other people. So again, I encourage you to go back and watch those classes. I encourage you to go back and watch the lives. Do what you need to do to be aware and prepare yourself, okay? But again, because of the ideological warfare and the spiritual warfare that happens when Neptune is in Aries, these are all things that are going to be happening, right? Some of the shadow side of this happening is that there's going to be a rise in spiritual delusion. So again, being able to recognize spiritual psychosis either in yourself or other people is key, okay? My phone is doing a weird thing, sorry. Savior complexes, right? Neptune is still Neptune even when it is in Aries, and Aries can be quite arrogant. So people who are arrogant about their ability to save and fix other people, even when they can't fucking save or fix themselves, that is a shadow aspect of Neptune in Aries. Extremism masked as enlightenment. I'm going to say that one again. Extremism masked as enlightenment. A lot of the people, there's going to be a rise in cults, mark my words. And with that, we're going to see a lot of people try to force really extreme positions as though they are a path to spiritual breakthrough and awakening. Again, that is why it is important to be aware of what spiritual psychosis is and protect yourself from it. Again, if you did not watch my Spiritual Psychosis Protect Your Neck class, join the Patreon so you can access it, or you can purchase it as a standalone class. But prepare yourself, okay? Leaders are going to weaponize faith or vision in order to manipulate the masses or to get over on large populations. These are all things that happen when Neptune is in Aries, okay? Other thing, the myth of the hero returns, right? Aries is an archetype of the hero in a lot of mythology. Expect romanticized revolutionaries, right? We saw people trying to do that with that Luigi Mangione guy, but it's only going to get even more extreme than that. A lot of revolutionaries are going to come out of nowhere, and instead of people evaluating them for who they are, they're going to pedestalize them. Again, Neptune, Pisces energy can really pedestalize false prophets, right? Broken people. A lot of influencers are going to be cast as prophets. So people who have large audiences will get fueled into spiritual psychosis that will make them start doing that shit. Martyrdom culture is going to take off, and people are going to sacrifice themselves for causes, okay? So one of the things that's really going to be important to ask yourself during this transit right? Not just the first few weeks, but over the next 13 years. When you feel yourself getting worked up by something, is this a sacred calling, or am I engaging in spiritual bypassing dressed as destiny? Is this an actual calling, or am I engaging in spiritual bypassing while trying to convince myself that it is destiny? Okay? Asking yourself that will save you from a lot of grief. All right? Some of the psychological effects is that your inspiration can come as impulse. So again, if you get spiritual downloads and you don't take time to process them, that can lead to you misinterpreting your visions. You may also have less patience for contemplation. That Aries influence will make you want to move instead of process, right? So just be careful, because Neptune blurs. That is its focus. It is the planet of mystery, illusion, and confusion. Neptune is going to make it hard for you to see whether or not your truth is grounded. So even if you want to move fast, move slower. Even if you think you're moving slow, slow down more, because Aries is going to make you move quicker than you need to. And when having that Neptune influence, you can make some big mistakes. Okay? But having your ritual, having your altar, having your connection to your ancestors, having spiritual elders to support you in understanding what's going on around you is going to be more important than ever. Okay? It's going to be more important than ever. If you have strong first house placements, this is going to really be strong for you. Okay? I'm going to go in the Patreon into more details this weekend when I do the fire, air, water, and earth readings for Neptune in Aries, as well as the new moon readings. I'm going to talk about how these show up for each cluster of signs in detail more. But I do want to acknowledge that if you have strong Aries or first house placements, your spiritual identity is going to go through an overhaul. You will feel called to leadership or spiritual authority, and it's going to be really important for you to have routines of grounding as well as exercise spiritual humility while this is happening, okay? Even though this is a long transit and it's a heavy transit, you can still work with it. And that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight, okay? This is a really important time to strengthen your protection practices. If your only protection practice is burning sage and throwing Florida water, baby, no, you please step it up. The Florida water and sage are beautiful things, but they're not going to get you through this time. So take some classes, do your learning, consult an elder, whatever you need to do. But this is a really important time to strengthen your protection practices. Make sure that you are vetting your spiritual impulses before you act. Have a community that you trust. Even if you don't have a full community, at least one or two people that you know are spiritually grounded and anchored that you can go to. But again, Neptune brings confusion. It is the planet of illusion. So it's going to be more important than ever. While Neptune is in Aries and it's being exacerbated by that quickness, that fire energy of Aries, that you have protocols in order to help you slow down, and that you have people around you that you trust to help you vet your spiritual downloads. Because you may not see everything clearly. And that lack of clarity does not mean that you are not spiritually attuned. It doesn't mean that God don't love you or your ancestors are betrayed. None of that weirdo shit. It just means that the planets are doing what it's doing, okay? Stay accountable to your elders, your ancestors, and your lineage. Stay accountable to your elders, ancestors, and your lineage. Those accountability mechanisms are meant to help you slow down. So they are literally going to slow you down. If you are accountable to Ori, if you are accountable to the ancestors, if you are accountable to your community and your elders, those things slow you down naturally. So that helps you also with the vetting process. Avoid chosen one thinking. You guys hear me say this all the time. I'm happy to be a priestess. I'm happy to be a mambo. I take the responsibility brought on my shoulders very, very clearly. But you will you will never hear me call myself a chosen one. We're all God's chosen children. That anytime somebody starts to call themselves a chosen one, it makes me nervous. Because even if you are a leader, right? Even if you are blessed to be a leader, there's a certain amount of humility in this because you understand that we're all equal and that God loves us all, right? So just be careful about that thinking or when you see that thinking come up in other people. Choose courage with wisdom and not bravado. This is not a time for ego. And Aries is going to ignite your ego. That's a part of the challenge of the placement, okay? So that is Neptune in Aries, as well as the new moon in Capricorn. Thank you all for being here tonight. You guys know I always do card spreads whenever I do Astro Hour. So I do have a card spread for the new moon in Capricorn, as well as Neptune in Aries. So if you would like for me to do a reading on either of those placements for you, just so that you know individually what you need to be aware of, I would love it if all of y'all got natal chart readings, but y'all are hard-headed, and even if I put them on sale or I encourage you guys to do it, you're not going to fucking do it. So hopefully these readings will at least give you some sort of insight or framework around how to move while these transits are happening. So, yeah, if anybody wants either of them, go ahead and send your love offering and then put a comment in the comment section so that I know who I'm reading for, okay? My Cash App as well as my PayPal are both scrolling below. The minimum love offering is $11.11 if you want either of the readings, but you are welcome to give more if you want to. Again, while we're talking, this is Astro Hour, so I do want to remind you all that the 2026 forecast readings are only available for one more month. The final deadline to book and purchase your reading is going to be February 7th, okay? After February 7th, I won't be giving 2026 forecast readings anymore because what the fuck is the point of doing a forecast reading for a year in April and May when the whole first quarter is already gone, right? So in order to prepare yourself for the year, I always cut these off by mid-February. It doesn't make sense to do them after that. But I'm bringing it up because those of you, again, a lot of Neptune activity, right? Would it be a good time for you to understand where your Neptune is in your chart so that you can have understanding for how this transit is going to show up for you individually and personally? Absolutely. That would be a great time to do this. With the full version of the 2026 forecast, you get a natal chart breakdown, okay? You get natal chart analysis. It's a good deal because the forecast reading is $175, and it also comes with, sorry, I got distracted by my phone. It also comes with tarot spreads for the year. A regular natal chart on my website is $150. So think about that. You get two services for damn near the same price. So natal chart readings, yes, but I strongly encourage you to get the 2026 forecast. And again, if this Neptune transit is going to cause heavy impact for you in the year 2026, it will get outlined in the forecast. Some of you guys probably won't feel Neptune's influence until next year or the year after. Again, those of you with Aries placements, you're going to feel it immediately, right? But again, this is all why I'm saying get the readings, get the work done privately, so that way you know how this is going to show up for you. All the information I share here on Astro Hour is extremely general. If you want to understand how it shows up for you in your personal life, that's where the personal readings come into play, okay? What if we don't mind losing a few months? Just asking because the way my money be set up. I don't understand what you're asking. Destiny, what do you mean when you say, what if you don't mind losing a few months? Just asking because the way my money, for the forecast. So here's the thing. I'm not doing them after, they literally will not be available after February. I'm gonna try to be respectful because money is a touchy subject for people. And sometimes you guys can make such lack and poverty mindset based decisions that I don't think you understand how you sound. Okay. If it's not going to be available after February 7th, it doesn't matter if you lose a few months. I don't do them after May or April because it doesn't make fucking sense, respectfully, right? I have a comparable service on my website that you can get called the solar return reading, but it's also $50 more expensive than a forecast reading. So if you would prefer to pay $225 for something later in the year because you don't want to get it during the time where it's available at discount, then that's a decision you can make. But me being an earth sign, I can't wrap my mind around it. So I hear what you're saying, but it's also not. I encourage you to sit on what you're saying for a little bit because it's not translating the way that I think you think it is. Chantel would like a new moon spread. Okay, I got you, Chantel. I see that you sent your offering of 1111. Lovana, I see that you sent one as well. So Lovana wants the Neptune and Aries reading. Lovana, just go ahead and put a comment anyway so that way I can click it for you when it's time for me to get to you and I don't get confused. And then Nicole wants both. All right. So let's start with Chantel for the new moon reading. I love you all. It's just I sometimes think you guys don't hear. There's a phrase that was said to me a lot when I first started my mentorship program. Yes, Priestess had to go. Where do you think she got her training from, right? And it was really important for me to hear, especially because I went on to become a child of Vodou. And me learning this through my ancestors first protected me from a lot of shit that could have happened to me in Vodou. And it is that when you are cheap with spirit, spirit will be cheap with you. And I think sometimes, and again, I'm not trying to say this to harp on you individually. Renee, love you down. You know how I feel about you. But it's just an energy that sometimes you guys come with. I'm not that expensive. My astrologer, the astrologer that I pay, you can't get on his calendar for less than $350. So when I provide services that I know are affordable in price, and I'm constantly giving discounts, and I'm constantly making it financially accessible to people, and then people are still like, no, do it for 3 cents. Like, I don't know how to not be frustrated by that, okay? So again, you guys got to really start thinking, like, I want my life to change, but I don't want to make any investment into it. I don't know what to say. We will start with Chantel, who wants the new moon reading. So this is to help you understand the foundation to strengthen you, the pattern you need to release, and the commitments you need to make, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors, what wisdom does Chantel need about the new moon in Capricorn? What will she be using this energy to manifest? What does she need to release in order to make room for these new manifestations? How is this moon bringing structure into her life? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. I got you, Nicole. So I got Lovana next, and then I will do you after. Can you remind me what the Neptune and Aries reading is? It's to tell you about how to navigate the energy of Neptune and Aries. That's the easiest way I can explain it. It's a Neptune. The Neptune and Aries reading is to help you understand how you can protect yourself from spiritual disillusionment while also standing in your personal power. Right? Everything that I talked about when we discussed new moon or Neptune and Aries, That's what the 3-card spread is going to help you navigate through, okay? Once I do Nicole, or once I do Lovana, you'll be able to see specifically what the reading is, okay? So the foundation that's going to strengthen you, which talks about the area of life that you need structure, consistency, and maturity in right now, Chantel, we have the King of Wands. So you need to actually work on your confidence. You need to learn or work on really getting comfortable with taking up space, with promoting yourself, with being confident about what you care about and what you're invested in, right? One of the things I always harp on, because it's such a hallmark of a King of Wands, they are so comfortable with talking about themselves, right? Even if they're not arrogant people, they are deeply, deeply comfortable with talking about their dreams and talking about their vision and talking about why they're qualified to execute their dreams and their vision, right? So you getting comfortable with being able to stand in your power, promote yourself, talk about who you are and what you're capable of without feeling like you're being arrogant, without feeling like you need to shrink, is something that you really need to set a foundation for. The more you do, and the reason why this is coming up in the context of consistency is because the more you do it, the more comfortable you will become, and the less it will feel like imposter syndrome for you. Okay? Now, in the energy of the pattern you need to release, what habit, belief, or avoidance pattern undermines your long-term stability? We have the Lover's card, Gemini energy, right? Gemini energy is about alignment. The Lover's card is about being able to be in personal alignment that allows you to attract a lover that is your equal, right? Is the card of mutual consequences when we love someone and they love us. What I recently learned about this card when I taught in preparation for me to teach about tarot and shadow work, amazing class. If you guys want access to it, join the Patreon. What I recently learned is that a lot of times when the Lover's card comes up, it represents codependency, yes, but it's a particular kind of codependency. Remembering that this is Gemini, right? Geminis are very smart. They're very intelligent, but they can be very externally driven. They can be very hyper dependent on approval from other people. The pattern you need to break is that it's like you wait for approval from other people or a go from other people before you allow yourself to go, right? So that's a pattern you really need to break in order to call in long-term stability. In the position of the commitment that you need to make, the practical, sustainable action that you should commit to during this new moon, I love this for you. Page of Pentacles. You're only going to learn it by doing it, right? Page of Pentacles is so connected energetically to the Fool card, right? Because I feel like the Page of Pentacles represents the action of the Fool, right? The Fool is somebody who's taking big risks, knowing that even if they stumble or they scrape their knee, they got to get back up, right? It's okay for you to be in a space of learning around this. You're learning what it means to be this new person that's deeply confident, that doesn't need accolades from other people to go after what they want. You just believe in yourself. And because of that, you will find people to give you accolades. You will enroll people into your vision, right? It takes a lot of confidence to be that, but it's also a learned behavior. So you need to embrace or commit to being a student right now, being an apprentice, trying things out, being comfortable with trying things out, being comfortable with not always having the right answer. Those are all things you need to work on, okay? So that is your new moon reading. Lovana was next, and Lovana asked for the net. Why can't I scroll back up? What's going on? StreamYard be tripping, I swear. Okay, finally. Neptune and Aries, okay? Finally. All right, Sanidra, If you're still here, pay attention to this reading because this is the one that I am about to do for Lovana. And hopefully in you watching me do this for her, you will understand the answers that you will receive from getting this reading, okay? I need to just go ahead and break down and get an iPad so that I don't keep getting distracted on my phone when I'm trying to do these astral hour readings. Okay, no, we just left New Moon and Cap. Okay, so Neptune in Aries. This is to help you move with clarity and courage, right? It's helping you. It's meant to help you understand how to protect your vision, your spiritual vision, while Neptune is in Aries, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits who walk with me, my elevated ancestors. Give us wisdom and insight into what it is that Lovana needs to know and be aware of while Neptune is in Aries. Any wisdom shared is deeply and greatly appreciated. Thank you, Death Resonates. I'm glad that it was helpful for you, Chantel. I'm glad that the reading resonated with you. If there's anyone else that would like either a Neptune in Aries reading or a New Moon in Capricorn reading, go ahead and submit your love offering and then put your comment for which reading or both you would like in the comments section, okay? So in position 1, which talks about the call that you are feeling, the spiritual impulse, vision, or urge that is being activated in you right now, we have the Chariot, right? And you've been learning from me for a while, so you know I love the Chariot. This is one of my favorite fucking cards, right? It's Cancer energy. We do not give people or Cancer people their credit for their resiliency. We make fun of them for being soft and emotional, but they are tough fucking birds, right? Or tough crabs in this instance. For you, in terms of the spiritual impulse, vision, or urge that's being activated in you right now, you are in a space where you are clear about your goals. You're clear about your calling, because there is a clarity of calling that is attached to the Chariot. And you're figuring out what does it look like for you to manifest that into reality. Who do you get to be when you wake up every day telling yourself that you're going to do something, you're going to take steps, you're going to take a journey that brings you closer to the execution of those goals and then those ambitions. Now, that doesn't mean that life is all peaches and cream, right? Traditional representations of the Chariot shows 2 sphinxes pulling the Chariot in opposite directions. And you definitely have some things in your life that may be pulling you in opposite directions. Both of them can bring you closer to your goal. But it's about you exercising enough control and understanding to figure out which one you should lean towards, or if you need to pause for a minute, right? But for you, the impulse that's coming up, the call that you are feeling, is one of actually building and moving forward on your goals and your vision, okay? Now, in the position of card 2, which talks about the illusion or the trap to avoid, I actually really like this. We have 2 of Pentacles. So the trap you need to avoid in order to not confuse faith with fantasy or courage with recklessness is overcommitment, right? Be careful about overcommitment. Be careful about 2 of Pentacles is also a card of multiple streams of income, right? So be careful about how you monetize things. Be careful if you choose to monetize anything. Be careful about how you monetize it and why you're monetizing it, right? You want to make sure that you're not bringing any conflict into your life or that you're not walking a tightrope, right? And the tightrope, and this is download, the tightrope can be feeling like you're trying to navigate multiple communities or multiple audiences, right? Again, going back to this chariot energy, if you have a goal but it's pulling you in two directions, those two directions being two conflicting audiences, rather than it being something sustaining and fulfilling you, it's going to make you feel like if you breathe wrong, you'll fall off the rope. So just be mindful of that. Neptune and Aries, yes, Sinidra, I will take care of you after Nicole, okay? And then the third card for Neptune and Aries with Lovana, what is the anchoring action? What grounded protective step should I take to embody this energy solely? You're going to giggle. Emperor, discipline, structure, Aries, God of war, believing you are supposed to win because you are the initiator, right? Believing that you are supposed to be somebody that sets up foundation in this particular way, right? The way that Aries does. I'm giggling because I know that's your sun sign, right? But your Aries energy, your natural Aries inclination is actually what's going to help you survive Neptune and Aries while thriving within it. It's going to be the thing that really brings you an energy of safety and protection during this time. Okay? I hope that was helpful for you, Lovana. Let me know if that resonated with you or not. We have Nicole next, and then we have Sinidra. And if there is anyone after Sinidra, go ahead and submit your love offering, and I will take care of you next. Okay, I know you have both, Nicole, so I'm just gonna, the last time you put scales, because I remember seeing you write both, but I can't find it for some reason. Okay. Yes, it was helpful. Thank you. Great. Okay, I'm glad. I'm really, really glad. So let's start with Neptune and Aries for you, Nicole, since I'm there anyway. Since I'm on that spread anyway. Ancestors, angels, and master spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Nicole need that will help her navigate the energies of Neptune and Aries unscathed? What will allow her to stand grounded in her power during this transit? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Next week, instead of happy hour, I'm going to do some sort of prosperity class. I've been saying that I need to get back to my financial trauma recovery work for a while now. It's just been because, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but God has been keeping me busy in terms of clients, especially the last month of the year. Things are starting to balance out now, and I can focus a little bit more in this moment. And I think that I mentioned the stuff I was saying earlier. I wanted to be productive and not to feel like I'm just going off on a tangent. I think that there's some energetic stuff around survival mode that my audience is carrying and that the collective is carrying. And I really want to help you guys let that go, so that way resources can help you do the things you want to do as well as that you need to do, and that there's not always this energy of lack, okay? So next week, we'll be back here Thursday at 8 o'clock, but we're going to be talking about prosperity. We're going to be talking about some intro level, some just really introductory things you can do to check in with yourself around shadow work and money, and then also some things you can do at home to release those blockages, okay? So be back here next week. I'll probably do some money readings for people as well. But I think that'll probably be a much more productive use of our time together next Thursday instead of talking shit about celebrities. We can do that later in the month. Trump already acting an ass. We ain't even the first 10 days in the year yet. Like, it's going to be more than enough for us to talk shit about when we do get back to happy hour. But we're going to focus on money and prosperity next week because I think y'all need it, okay? I think we need it. Let me say it that way, because I don't like the way that sounded when I said that. But I think it's a conversation that we could benefit from. Okay? So for you, Nicole, with Neptune in Aries, and again, this reading is to help you combine courage with clarity so that your vision is protected. The very first card, what is the call that you are feeling? What spiritual impulse, vision, or urge is being activated in you right now? And this is how I know that there's synchronicity here, because I feel like there have been a couple of readings in the past few weeks that have talked about you being confident to stand on your own and you giving yourself permission to be self-full, not selfish, self-full and self-directed have been coming up. So it's been coming up because it's timely, yes, but the timeliness of it is spiritual. This is a time where you really are being called to trust yourself, trust your personal vision, trust that putting yourself forward will give you a sense of strength and freedom that is just necessary to where you are right now in life. Okay? In the second position, which talks about the illusion or trap to avoid, where you could be confusing faith with fantasy or courage with a sense of recklessness. Four of Pentacles, right? Feeling like you have everything to give to everyone else, but that when it comes to you, you have to close really tightly, that you have very little, that opportunity is not open to you. That's not true, right? This is an illusion. It's a trap that you need to avoid. This understanding that you just got to be grateful for what you have right now, and that there is no opportunity to build a new world to explore, right? Traditional representations of this card literally shows a man wearing all his finery, and he's literally sitting on top of one of his pentacles, and he's clutching the other ones really, really tight. Whole world with a carnival and a village and all kind of shit going on behind him. And that is to represent the fact that sometimes we can get so focused on clutching to what we have that we don't get involved in life. Again, all this independence and call to be self-full and self-focused is so you can be someone who is exploring and using your resources to bring you joy, okay? So that's the illusion and the trap you need to avoid, that you need to tamper down, that you need to be reserved, that, you're supposed to be more focused on saving rather than living, okay? The anchoring action, the grounded protective step that you should take to embody this energy safely. Hangman, I love this. Paradigm shift, right? I think some of the things and again, this is why it's coming up again as a synchronicity. I think some of the things that I've been saying, like, you hear it and you believe it. I'm not a weirdo, so you trust that I'm saying this stuff for a reason. You also see me shuffle a card, so you know I'm not making it up, right? It's one thing to understand something. It's another thing to believe it fully, mind, body, and soul. And I think that the step you need to take right now is, rather than fighting for more meaning, just let things sink in with you, right? Hangman is about, rather than fighting what feels like a stagnation or an inability to understand, sitting in it, letting that open up things for you in terms of how you see a certain dynamic, and letting what you see in terms of new information shape your paradigm so that you don't continue to engage in the same behavior, all right? So the first card was the Nine of Pentacles, okay? So that is your Neptune in Aries reading. For you, and just to summarize very directly, the spiritual illusion that you need to be careful about is one of martyrdom, is one of sacrificing your opportunity, and it's a false belief that you don't get reinvention or starting over, right? Be careful. If you start to feel that way, or if a belief pops up or an experience pops up that feeds that, that's Neptune, and that's something you need to confront, okay? Now let's do your new moon in Capricorn reading. And then after that, I will get to Sanidra and anyone else who wants a reading. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits, elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Sanidra? Sorry, what wisdom does Nicole, sorry, I'm so busy trying to keep the order in my head. What wisdom does Nicole need about the new moon in Capricorn? What will she be calling in? What will she be releasing to make space for what she's calling in? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. A lot is flipping over. A lot is falling out. We have 3 cards that fell out, so I'm just going to read those 3 cards in the order in which they fell out, okay? In the position of the foundation to strengthen the area of life that needs structure, consistency, or maturity right now, we have the 4 of Wands. 4 of Wands is success, it's stable foundation, it is the card of home. What you need to focus on in terms of strengthening your foundation is prioritizing your most intimate relationships, prioritizing your home, right? 4 of Wands is a very domestic energy. So if it's not related to your home, your most intimate relationships like your children, family, if it's not related to that, it's not important right now. Capricorn is really calling you to focus on providing structure and consistency to those relationships in that area of life. Again, with 4 of Wands being a card of homecoming and success and stable foundation, what are the things related to family in the home that make you feel safe and stable, and pouring energy into that, okay? Card 2, the pattern to release. What habit, belief, or avoidance pattern undermines my long-term stability or your long-term stability? 4 of Cups, there's a phrase a guy used a lot in my life coaching training, and it's, what are you pretending not to know? And I used to hate whenever that was said to me, but now I've come to understand it as, what is the thing that's right in your face that you can't see clearly because you're looking at everything else, which is literally what the 4 of Cups is, right? The pattern that you need to release is looking at your past for answers, because that's literally what the 4 of Cups is. They're looking at the spilled cups, the half full cups, and they're trying to mine them for information or understanding of how they got to where they are and how they're going to get out of where they are, right? When that's not where the wisdom is coming from. It's coming from the divine offering of spirit that's right next to them. So your spirits need you to be present and future focused, not past focused. And if you can let go of that habit, there will be some change and transformation for you. The commitment to make. What practical, sustainable action should I commit to during this cycle? Answering your higher calling, listening to your ancestors, really hearing them and trusting what they have to say. That's what's going to help you. If you have not done any Ori work, or if it's been a while since you've done any Ori work, you may want to prioritize that up into around the new moon, because you being able to trust what you hear from your spirits is going to be deeply, deeply important, okay? So let me know if that resonated with you. Nicole, you're asking the question, my lover, what about your lover? What about your lover? Let me know what the full question is, and I'm happy to answer it. But those are your 2 spreads. I hope that was helpful for you. Sanidra, I'm going to go ahead and do your reading now. If there is anyone that would like a reading for either Neptune in Aries or the new moon in Capricorn, go ahead and submit your love offering. And then once you submit your love offering, put your name, or not your name, put which reading you want in the comments section, and then I will get to you after Sanidra, okay? Nicole, if you are still here, please let me know if the readings resonated with you. And also let me know what you're asking me when you say my lover, ? Okay? All right. And again, this Neptune and Aries reading is to help you have courage and clarity through Neptune and Neptune's 13-year cycle in Aries. This is going to help you know what you need to do to protect your spiritual vision, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me. Elevated ancestors, what is the wisdom that Sanidra needs about Neptune and Aries at this time? What wisdom will allow her to be able to handle this transit in a way that propels and moves her forward instead of causing spiritual blockages? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. If people are still with me, because no one's really moving in the chat, please go ahead and hit those scale emojis. Let me know that you're still with me. Sanidra, I assume you're still here because you did pay for your reading. But hit the scale emojis. Let me know you guys are still watching, because there hasn't been a whole lot of movement, at least on my end, in the comment section. So hit the scale emoji. Let me know if you're still here. Nicole, if you're still here, answer my question, please. Anyone else wants a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering and put which reading you would like in the comments, all right? The call you are feeling, the spiritual impulse, vision, or urge that is being activated in you right now, this makes a lot of sense. The death card. You feel a need for transformation and rebirth. There are things about you, habits you engage in, that they don't even feel right for you anymore. They just literally don't feel right. And you are ready to shed them and let them go. That is the urge that you have, is to have your rebirth moment, right? The illusion or trap to avoid. Where could you be confusing faith with fantasy or courage with reckless abandon? We have the Five of Cups. This is slightly similar to what I just said to Nicole as a warning. The rebirth is not going to happen if you are hyperfixated on the past, right? And sometimes it is important to mine our past for information. But if what happens as a result of that mining is that we stagnate and we continue to mourn over and over again what we think we either lost or failed at, it can only lead to depression. It can only lead to disconnection, right? And so the illusion that you need to not engage in, right? Because it's going to confuse you around your faith. And it's also going to make you have moments where you think you're being courageous, but you're actually being reckless. This happens especially a lot with people who don't know what they're doing with their shadow work journey. You got to stop letting your past bring you down, okay? The anchoring action, the grounded protective step that you need to take in order to embody this energy safely, you really got to work on your meditative practices. You got to, and not just meditation, but whatever the spiritual habits and routines that you have that help you get anchored in stillness so that you can understand clearly the downloads that you receive, the spiritual wisdom you receive, that is going to be clutch for you during Neptune's transit through Aries, okay? There's a spiritual stillness that you need to embody that's going to help you from engaging in reckless activity, okay? Sanidra, let me know if that was helpful for you, if it answered your question. Let's see. When you stated Four of Wands, focus on intimate relationships. Yes, this is why I do both reads when you offer Astro Hour. Yeah, absolutely. So I understand. Yeah, if you were asking if your lover was included in those intimate relationships, absolutely. They're the most intimate relationship. So yes, your lover, your children, the people you engage with the most frequently. Whenever you think of home, whoever those people are, that's your Four of Wands. Okay? I feel both of these readings are hand in hand. Yes, absolutely. That's why I like that you do that too, because you get a very full round and well-rounded understanding of what's coming up, right? Okay, I will work on that. It resonated. Yeah, and we can definitely talk about that in your one-on-one consultation. That's definitely something we can work on in the future. I don't see anyone else at this time that's interested in either the new moon or the Neptune and Aries reading. These will be options on Sunday for those who may have missed and who are catching this in the replay. That's totally fine. I will be back here Sunday. That is so unladylike. I may have to stop drinking my sparkling water during these during these live streams, even though I really like it. But I will be back here Sunday, 7:30 p.m. as always. Everyone have a really beautiful weekend. Get rest. I know that even though we are going into the second week of January, which is crazy because it feels like New Year's was literally yesterday. It's been exhausting. I think a lot of us are carrying in exhaustion from the previous year into this one. So make sure you're hydrating. Make sure you're getting your rests. I love you all. I will see you Sunday night. And until then, I want everybody to take care, okay? Good night. Bye.